Sofik Chay or Sofik Behemo, it's a Sofik whether it's obligated in Kisei Adam. So it says you're not permitted to cover its blood. So the Gemara initially had said couldn't understand what's the issue, because whatever the issue would be for a Sofik, the issue is for a Vadik. Even if it's definitely where it's definitely there's a chiyuv, it's a chayuv. Okay, so I wanted to say, why would it not be doche Yom Tiv? Why would you consider it should be doche? We say asay doche lo asay. That when you take the clump of earth and you granulate it over the blood, that's considered bidno. It's called simultaneous, and therefore the asay of kisei adam is doches. If it's a vadai, therefore, therefore, the Brisa chose to speak about a sofek. So, since you don't have the assay, therefore, even if though you have the offer, you're not permitted, because for vada you say assay dochalose, for sofek you don't. Gemara says no, but Yom Tov is an assay velosa assay, and an assay dochalose ve'assay, and assay if you put it against the negative and the positive commandment, and Yom Tov is losas kom locha, and this tishbos it's a positive negative. Therefore, even it would be a vada. Definite obligation, you wouldn't be permitted to granulate the clump of earth over the blood. Okay, so the Gemara came out, concluded that we're speaking about he has ash, but when a person prepares ash, it's only for a definite need, not for a suffix need. So even though in terms of itself, you're permitted to touch it, you're permitted to use it, but because his mindset initially was for a definite usage, not for a suffix usage, therefore it's muktzah for the koi. It cannot be used for the koi, but it could be used for a vadi. That's the which it has to be clarified. Look, there's a famous tosus in Chulin. What's the reason why ein asedoch lo sevelo? Ein asedoch lo sevelo. It's tosus Kedoshim also. What's the reason why? So, the Gemara says in Psochim that if you have an asay pitted against an asay, for instance, there's halacha that after you bring the Talmud Shel Ben Arbayim, the closing offering, communal offering, you cannot bring a personal offering any longer that day. Why? Because it says it's only after the Talmud Shel Shachi bring all the karbanos. So there's halacha oleh hashleim, meaning all the karbanos that have to be brought are all following the morning communal offering. But once the afternoon communal offering is brought, the Talmud Shel Ben Arbayim can no longer bring a tamid, bring you a korban. So the Gemara says, let's say a person is a mechusa kapara, a person was a metzora. He didn't bring his korban, can't bring it. But there's an obligation, you have to bring it. So we say, see, you're pitting an asay against an asay. So when you pit an asay against an asay, we say, my ulme hay asay me asay. Who says one asay has any greater value than the other asay? Right? They're both of equal standing. So if they're of equal standing, they're pitted against one another. One doesn't override the other. Right?
Is it positive and negative?
No, positive versus a positive. Person has a positive commandment, he must bring a korban. And there's a positive commandment that after the Talmud Shel Ben Arbayim, the communal offering closing, you don't bring another one. And if you do, you're in violation of a positive commandment. Even though the inference is negative, but if it emanates from the positive, that's classified as a positive commandment. It's called Isser Asay. There's Allah Oleh Hashleim. All the korbanos have to be brought after the, because there's Shochet Oleh.
So it's a derivation and it's negative.
Right. Even though there is negative, but it's
brought by that time. That's
right.
positive.
Right. So therefore, when you pit two positive commands against one another, since they both have equal standing, one cannot override the other. Okay.
So which one takes precedence?
Neither. Shev al Tasir, you do nothing. Shev al Tasir. Since there's no way to know which one has greater value, see, you do nothing. You remain passive. So more over there speaks about a case. What happens if a person is a mechusa keeper, a person, let's say, he was a metzora, and he has to bring his korban, and he can't bring the korban, and if he doesn't bring the korban, he can't bring the korban Pesach. Because the only way you can bring the korban Pesach, you have to bring these prerequisites. You have to meet these prerequisites. So Mar says, in that situation, you can bring the korban. You could bring the mechusa kippurim, the korban metzora. Why? Even if it was late, he didn't, you could bring it. Why? Because if you don't bring that, you're not going to be able to bring the korban Pesach. If one doesn't do the korban Pesach, it's asay sheish bo koris. The only asay which carries koris is only korban Pesach. So the only reason why we say when you pit one asay against the other is why? Because why does one we don't know which has greater standing. That's my ulmei hayase me hayase. So the Gemara says, but if one is chayv kores, the liability is much greater than but not doing it one. It's obvious that the asay of Korban Pesach is more powerful than ordinary asay. And since you cannot bring the Pesach unless you bring Mechus Kippurim, so it's linked to that, so we give it its same standing. So therefore, you bring the Mechus Kippurim to be able to bring the Korban Pesach.
It's not enough that he has just another assay. It has to be.
No, it would be my only highest
I'm
asay.
saying that he has one assay to become tar, and one assay, and in addition to that, he has an assay to become.
No, it's not.
But
2 to
we
1
have
makes no
say
difference.
that
It
it
makes
has
no-
the courage.
It's
We
all
have to
because
say
the
that.
Gemara says this.
No, I'm just
It's
understanding.
asay sheish b'koreis pitted against the not she'em b'koreis. Because the only reason why it doesn't, because it's my high. Who says one's better than the other? But over here, because the liability would be a greater liability, not bring the Korban Pesach, therefore you bring the Korban, despite that the Korban Shabbat Arbayim, the communal offering, already was brought in the afternoon. Doesn't make
I understand the case. This is Erev Pesach.
Erev Pesach.
You can't do one and then the other because it's too late to do it.
No, he still could do the Korban Pesach. He still could bring the Korban Pesach. If he doesn't bring his Korban Mitzorah, when it comes the night of Seder, he can't eat that Korban Pesach.
He's got to do it first. So
Right.
So it could be Erev Pesach.
It's still before sundown. It's before sundown. They didn't slaughter Korban Pesach yet. They didn't slaughter Korban Pesach
For
yet.
his own personal.
He can only be part of that only if he brings his personal Korban first.
Otherwise he misses.
Yeah, otherwise he's out of the box. He can't participate, right? So there. Okay. So now the shaila is like this. When we say if a person goes, you have an asay pit against losev asay. Say in asay losev asay. Let's say he violates los asay. Right? Yeah. Say. Let's say in this case, person takes a clump of earth, granulates it over the blood. So he's doing the mitzvah of Kisei Adam. But he's violating what? Yom Tif. Because there's Losaskom Mocha and there's Nasei. So if you say, Ein Nasei Docha Losev Asei. Seemingly. So if it doesn't override it, he should be subject to Malchus. He's forewarned. Does he get Malchus? Doesn't get Malchus. Right? The person who wasn't supposed to pulverize the clump of earth, granulate it over the blood, and he did. He did it Nasei, but since Einas Dochlos Asei, would he get Malchus? So the two opinions in Tosos. One opinion is that a Los Asei that is accompanied with an Asei is a fortified Los Asei. Meaning, what's the model case Asei of Los Asei? Kalim B'tzitzis. You have a four-corner cup made of linen, you put wool tzitzis in. So you see the Asei of tzitzis overrides the Los Asei. He's permitted to wear it because he fulfilled the mitzvah. But that's
It's not relevant for it. It's not that Tzitzi has a higher level.
no. It's Asei. We draw from that all Aseis. Asei docha Los Asei. Okay? Now, so that Los Asei is not accompanied with an Asei. So since it's not accompanied, I'd say so. A lav that's accompanied with an Asei, which only strengthens the Los Asei, it's a strengthened Los Asei. So if that's the case, even the Los Asei is not over it. Ein Asei docha Los Asei. And a Los Asei that has come with Asei, since it doesn't fit the model, the Asei doesn't supersede it. So if he's forewarned, he gets Malchus. Right? It's like he violated a Los Asei. If the Asei doesn't override it, and he wasn't permitted to it, so he wasn't permitted to granulate the clump of earth. So he was a violation of Ksisha on Yom Tov. So he gets Malchus, according to that opinion. The other opinion is no. A Los Asei that's come to an Asei, that Asei is overridden.
Same.
No, the Los Asei is overridden. So the question is, why can't I granulate it? The answer is because at the same moment, who said the Asei of Kistam has greater value than the Asei of Tishbos? The Los Asei is overridden for sure, but I still have to contend with the Asei that accompanies it. My Omei Hayasei Mi Hayasei. Who says the Asei of Kistam has any greater value than the Asei of Tishbos? And since it's something which is irresolvable, you say, Sheva al Tasei, you remain passive. Tishbos says you should refrain from work. There's a mitzvah Asei to refrain from Malacha on Yom Tov. Right? So although the Los Asei is overridden, so it's not, there's a linkage. The first opinion is the Los Asei is linked to the Asei. So it's a different type of Los Asei. That Los Asei cannot be superseded. So you violate the los asay. You violate the los asay, you have malchus. The others, no. There's no linkage between, there's los asay and there's an asay.
According to that opinion, why do you need to come on and say
Because it's not. In a situation we haven't.
Just say why do you need to say over here?
That's the terminology used in the situation. Los asay, you don't attempt to override the los asay. Because simultaneously, you have to contend with. But then it's ambiguous. It's an ambiguous statement. I'm dealing with los asay. That's the two opinions in places, okay? So that's, over here it's inasa los asay also. There's a discussion in, there's Tosus in Kedoshim, speaks about the mitzvah makeh. You have to put a parapet on your roof. And so if one does not, you're in violation of you're creating a situation where blood could be shed because you don't have the parapet on the roof. And also there's a mitzvah of what? Of making a makeh. So over there Tosus speaks about making a parapet around the roof. That's a mitzvah saseh. So over there there's a Tosus clearly learns that the lo saseh of is fortified by the asay, like the opinion in Chulin. So you would get malchus. So the asay wouldn't even override even the los asay.
Is if you were building on top?
So whatever the case is speaking about. There's a case over there speaking about. From there, it's clear that Tosus holds that it's fortified. And then he speaks on Yom that Tishkos fortifies the los asay. Therefore, if you're going to be a violation, you're going to get malchus for the lav. Because there's a linkage between the two. So it's not just you look at it as an independent los asay. It's a los asay that has a linkage to an asay. Okay?
So which one do you favor, the asay or the lo?
No, you do nothing. Shem bal taser. You're not allowed. No, the only reason why you would consider it is because you have an asay. But if asay cannot override such a los asay, so definitely you do nothing. Not because shem bal taser, you don't do it. Okay. Let's take a look at second Tosus. Sof Yom Tov Asay V'Los Asay. Even if it would be a Vadai, meaning it's a Chaya where the obligation is definite, the Asay will not supersede the Los Asay. Because Yom Tov is a Los Asay V'Asay, Elom Arovas, Temo. Doch Mashma L'Rova, the Islay, Asay V'Los Asay. V'Nedochev Nafshe L'Shnuye. Hear this. Since Rava is matchik himself to give the answer. You understand? The answer, it's muchan, levadi, not muchan for suffix, it's not such a simple answer. It's a muktzah, not muktzah. Not muktzah, use it for whatever you want. That's number one. Secondly, facts if suffix rice is lechumra. It's like a badai. I have to contend with it. So I look at that. I may have a problem. I definitely have a problem. See, the Gemara later will talk about, will a child dirty the courtyard? There's a suffix where I have a need for it. But a koi, you definitely have a need for it. If something rises l'chumra, you'd have a need. You have to cover his blood. Misofik, right? It's not similar to the example which the Gemara is going to give. So he's matchik nafshe. It's a dochik. But if Rava in truth holds asi is dochalosa is that ein asi dochalosa that asi is dochalosa say we have it's an easy answer. Vadai, you would cover his blood because you could granulate it. Sofik, you can't. So evidently, why is Rava matchik himself? He's saying this dochik. He's referring to it as a dochik, meaning that it's only prepared for vada and not prepared for a safek because he has no alternative. But that clearly states what does Rava hold? That Yom Tov is a lo saseh v'aseg, right? Because it would only be a lo saseh by itself. Vada, you'd cover the blood, right? That place is captured. What's the proof in the dochik? Because he has this difficulty. He has to reconcile the brisa. Why does it say only koi? It should say even vadai. When we say ochel nefesh is dochik yomtiv, it's ochel nefesh not what facilitates the ochel nefesh, like sharpening the knife. Levadav lo milish lo bezmano. That's Rava. Ravashi Omar yomtiv hasei v'lo sasei. Rava gives another answer. Meaning, Rava over there gives an answer, it's exercise over there. Right? Because Milish Mazana is not Dochi Yom Tov. Doesn't supersede Yom Tov. Let's say it was the 9th day. It's a pasuk, but not for the pasuk. See, Rav would say Aseh Los Aseh. The Aseh of Mila would supersede the Los Aseh of Yom Tov, right? It would supersede it. Rav Ashi says no, you don't need all that. Yom Tov is an Aseh of Los Aseh, and the reason why you can't circumcise the child that's Shlo B'Zmano because the Ein Aseh Los Aseh Yaseh. That's the reason why.
The reason you can't circumcise the child is...
It's Shlo B'Zman, it's the 9th day. The 8th day you can even circumcise the child on Shabbos.
Right.
But let's say it was delayed. Because you can't circumcise the child not on Shabbos, not on Yom Tov.
Right.
So the question is why not? Well, let's say Aseh Los Aseh. Right? The Aseh of Milo should be Dochel Los Aseh of Yom Tov.
But the Aseh only applies to 8th day.
No, what are you talking about? It's for the rest of your life. Yeah, a Jew has to be circumcised. So the mitzvah is continuous. Well, there's a mitzvah, of course there's a mitzvah. There's an obligation on a male Jew till the last moment he's alive, he has to be circumcised. Right? So it's the question, so if that's the case, so why isn't it should be Docha Yom Tov, even Milo Shlo B'Zmano? So Rabbi says, I have a pasuk. Milo Shlo B'Zmano, because it says, Levado v'lo Milo Shlo B'Zmano. That's what it says. But it seems to be, if not for the pasuk, I would say Aseh Lo Saseh. According to Rabbi.
What's it the same way, Rabbi? Could you translate?
It says regarding Ochel Nefesh, what you permitted when Yom Tov. So it says, quotes the pasuk, who it is permitted v'lo machshiro. The actual Ochel Nefesh, meaning, but let's say you have to sharpen the knife, straighten out the spit, to broil the meat, that's not permitted. That's all called the machshir. That facilitates the Ochel Nefesh, that not. Then it concludes, Levado, only it, v'lo Milo Shlo B'Zmano. But if, right, so Tosa says, what is Rabbi? If Rabbi holds, it's Lo Aseh, say the reason why it doesn't supersede it, because Ein Aseh Lo Aseh v'lo Aseh.
But maybe it's better to have a specific source over there. You know, if he has a specific pasuk that says he can't reveal it.
Okay, Tosa not satisfied with what you're saying. Okay? Rav Ashi Tov Yom Tov Esei v'lo Aseh. I mean, evidently, for Rav Ashi gives the answer, it's Yom Tov Esei v'lo Aseh. So evidently, I don't need a pasuk. It's just basic. You know, Lamal Krosvaru. Yishloma the Gemara Doch Nafshlu Kuvim Milsa the Rav Aliva the Hilsa. Rava personally holds the Gemara over its Matri Luki Milsa the Rav Aliva the Hilsa. The Yom Tov Esei v'lo Aseh. Avagav the Rav Atzmo less lehai svara. He doesn't hold it. It's interesting. Now, the person who is not doesn't have Milo. He's not Chayav Koros, but he's a minor, right? There's no liability for minor. The father, he has not circumcised his child, so not say. The father has circumcised his child. What did he violate? Not an Aseh Sheish Koros, right? The one who has the Koros is the person who's an adult, and he allows himself to remain uncircumcised. Here we're talking about a child. So the child is a mitzvah say of the father to circumcise him. And the mitzvah is mitzvah sheish bokoris. It's not mitzvah sheish bokoris. Even though the child, when he becomes an adult, right? But at this point, the father's obligation to the child as a child, it's not connected to koris. Right? Otherwise it's difficult. Because he'd be able to bring a raya, it's not so posher. If you hold the Inas Toch Lo Aseh is because the Aseh is divorced from the Los Aseh. As we explained, it's only because of Mayil Mehai Aseh. So if that's the case, when I'm dealing with Milo, it should be Doche. It should supersede the Yom Tov. Right? Because Milo is Ashish Bokoris. So, but it's not. Now, as I'm saying, the father doesn't get Koris. The father's being B'chal the Yom Tov. So it's not Aseh Sheish Bokoris. You don't eat the Korban Pesach, it's Aseh Sheish Bokoris. Right? So that's the reason why bringing the Mechusik form supersedes the Yom Tov. Supersedes, although you brought the less Korban. But over here.
If I had an example, if the child itself was just turned of age, right, before wouldn't a child who was susceptible to Karis, then why wouldn't
No, then you would say, then you would say, right. Then I would say it. You would say it.
If that was wrong.
Yeah.
You would even override after the low side?
No, what's that? It depends.
Would
According to
according
to Tosas that they're not linked, they would. It'll override the lav. It says they'll say the essay it overrides it. It's like Korban Pesach. You deal with them separately, right? That's what you do. But if they're linked, then it would not. Even though it's asay sheish b'koris, it doesn't supersede it. Because this lav cannot be overridden because it's linked to the asay. So that's considered strengthened.
So which one could be over?
The lav of Yom Tif. Okay. Tosafos answer. That's I'll leave it according to himself. It's not a problem. Further. Let's get back. Elo merova efakira daito levadai v'inteito l'sofik. Vaz the rova l'tamei. And Rav is consistent with his position. Amar Rava, hichnis ofel chasas botzoa. Person who brings offer to cover it in case there's some feces in the courtyard, uncleanliness. Mutul chasas bodam tzipor. He plants the shecht on Yom Tif, so the blood, the earth that he prepared to cover the uncleanliness, which is questionable, he could cover the blood of the bird after he does the shechit on the bird. What about dam tzipor? What about if he prepared earth because he plants the shech tomorrow on Yom Tif? Oslo chasas botzoa. You're not permitted to cover tzor. The question is why not? We'll see. Nevloi Omar afilu hichnes ovel chasas bo dam tzipor. Mutzil chasas botzoa. You're permitted. So there's an argument. Do we say as one applies to the other, or we make a differentiation? Right? According to the opinion of Rava says, if you bring in earth to cover uncleanliness, which is a suffix, you definitely could cover a vade, which he plans to do the shechita. But it was brought in for the dam shechita, you cannot use it for dam for tzoa. Can't use it to cover feces. Now, Rabbi says it makes no difference. Even if you brought in earth for the bird, you could use it to cover tzoa. Okay? Amri b'marova, he said in Eretz Yisrael, Pligi bo Rav Yossi bar Choma Rav Zera. This argument over here, whether when you prepare for one could use for the other, in both directions, that's machlokes, Rav Yossi bar Choma Rav Zera. Amri lo Rava Breda Rav Yossi bar Choma Rav Zera. Charom koi harei kotzoa. This koi is like tzoa. This is the dochik. The questionable obligation to cover its blood, that's like, it's questionable whether you could have uncleanliness. The other one holds no. The reason why, even though it was prepared for dam tzipor, you can use it for the tzoa, because it's not like tzoa. As I explained. Tzoa is, will I have uncleanliness? For koi, regardless, you have to cover its blood, because of the rice l'chumra. So therefore, they're not comparable. So I asked yesterday, so what's the comparison? So what's even to consider? We're saying, and their below holds that they are the same. I mean, their Rava holds they are the same. Rava says, as you cannot use it to cover the, if it's prepared dam tzipor, you cannot cover tzoa. So just as you can't cover tzoa, you're not permitted to cover the dam koi, because it's a suffix. Yeah. Thank you.
How do you like it? How do you like it?
One Splendor and some little milk.
Dark or?
Yeah, what did you say?
When the child is dirty to the floor, is it simply the yom tov that you should cover it? What's the command to cover it? What's the...
It's a need. It's a need.
The need.
The need. I don't want, it's a mess. So he prepared earth to cover that. In the eventuality it happens. There's no question, it's permitted, he's prepared for that. And now he has to cover blood. The blood of the bird that he slaughtered. Definitely to cover it. Because if it's prepared for even a questionable situation, definitely he would want it for a definite situation. Okay? But Rabbi says, but for the other, he prepared it for the blood. And then he wants to use it for the tzoah, to cover up the uncleanness of the child. You can't. Because it's muchan levad, it's not muchan l'safek. Okay, let's see Rashi.
The suffix isn't whether you should or shouldn't. The suffix is it might or might not happen.
We're by the tzoah.
Right.
Yeah, but by the koi, it's happening. The question is, do I have an obligation to cover? Of course you have an obligation to cover the blood. It may not be a vadai, but in the context of suffix, Torah says you must. It must be addressed. Let's see Rashi.
What you should do is prepare in advance.
Yeah.
If you have a toy, you should have some earth prepared in
Yeah,
advance.
but I'm asking, seemingly they're not comparable. So, in fact, is a questionable situation. You may not need it. You may not need it. Here, you definitely need it, because of the rights to you definitely need it. That's the difficulty. Let's hear Rashi. Thank you. Let's do from this. Ain't that or the suffix? That's 6 lines. A little bit wider. Hilkoch isa muktzika. Therefore, to use afer for koi, you cannot. What did Lord Rebuta? Vazer rov letame. Dome mishedato levadai. L'romia nafshe lezmune lemidi suffix. First, here's something which is a definite need. It doesn't enter his mind to have in mind for something which is questionable. Let me ask you a question. Let's say a person knows something the rest of the He knows the halacha. So why is that any less vadai than something else? It's a necessity.
It's the same question, right?
What's
Yeah.
Which example do you make sense? Cover the child.
Koi. Right? Seemingly not comparable. Hichnes often chassid v'otzoah. B'yom tov sheish l'tinok b'yori shebiyato rei b'yom tov v'fanov. He's concerned the child may dirty the courtyard. Mutal chassid bam dam l'tzibor sheish l'ishchot b'yom tov came chizminu l'sofek. Since he prepared the offer, the ephah for a sofek, kosher l'vadei. Osel chassid bo. Im yesh l'tinok kodem v'hitul tzoah. Yeah. B'yom tiv. Second. In Yermokom Amos, Ovedaito, Levadi v'lo l'sofik. Mut chasbot. So came the Azmnei. The nami korv levadai. Nervlo Yamri bin Sanhedrin Forish, Du Rami Baribi. Koya Rekot so Amachtus often Chasipot so Mutchas with Dam Tzibor, Dam Koi, the Zev is a Sofik. But Charom Enot Skitzo, Amachtus often Chasipot so Osel Chasipot Dam, the Koi Legabe Tzoa, Kisofik Legabe Vadai, the Tzoas Tinoch Shchicha, Ukrov Vadai. Okay. Okay. So Gemara says like this. So we have one opinion is that you can, one opinion says you can't. This time the Rabu Domar Koya Rikutsoa. It says one says one says the other. Who says what? We're going to be improved. The Rabu Domar Koya Rikutsoa. Domar Rabu Hichnesov Chasbot Soa. If a person brought an earth to cover feces, Mutal Chasbot Dam Sipor. He permitted to cover the blood of a bird. Sipor or Ost Chasbot Soa. This time it's a conclusive proof. Rava says if something's brought in for a definite situation, you can't use it in a questionable situation. But vice versa, if it's questionable, you can use it. So it's clear. Rava holds, he's the opinion that holds, that something's muchal levada, he's not muchal l'sofik. Right? That's Rava's position. But let's talk about something much more fundamental. If something's not muktzah, because I didn't negate it, because I want to use it for what? For a valet situation. The moment it's not muktzah, why can't I use it? Why can't I use it for something else? For substance situation. I'll give you an example. We spoke about dog food. Dog food, a dog eats. You won't take the dog food, put it somewhere else. You have to do it. Because if I'm allowed to feed it to a dog, it's not muktzah for me. So if the item itself is not muktzah because I prepared it to cover blood, the blood of the bird, which is vada, why can't I cover it soa, which is questionable? Today I need it. I mean, how do you split it? What's the rationale? And Toast himself says it's dochik. This teretz is a dochik, you're pushing it.
Because here's muktzah not going to do, I would think we would need this extra level of the starting point for this is that it's really muktzah. It's just, you decided to make it available for one thing. So
it's muktzah, it's not muktzah.
That was yesterday. Muktzah was dependent on what the intent was. The same object used for one purpose.
I know, but it's
the other purpose wouldn't be muktzah.
What kind of sword is this? Something's not muktzah, it's not muktzah. It's not muktzah. I mean, it's a chiddush. It's a chiddush. And something, see, if I deal with klishin lach l'yisr, a hammer, we let you break nuts, we let you move it for its place, but michamal itself, it's out in the street, out in the backyard, and you're concerned to be stolen, you're not permitted to bring it in. No, that's not a problem.
You can bring it because you can't carry, you can't bring it.
No, because it's only not muktzah in a certain context.
okay, here too.
Whatever use for it, you can't touch it because it's muktzah.
A hammer, if you need it to hammer nails, to hammer for break nuts, we allow you. Okay? If you need its location, we allow you to move it for its location. Right? But to use it where you're concerned it may be stolen, may be ruined, being exposed to the elements, we don't allow you to touch it.
Right. We don't touch it because we're violating the motion moving of it, or because it's muktzah because we don't have the thing to use it.
Because they're never allowed to use it in this context. Real high polite. Okay, I have to think about it. I mean, Toast himself says it's dochik, like that's dochik. I mean, you're pushing it. Letchok means to push it.
So they're finding fault with the argument.
Right.
So he's pushing it too far.
Right. Okay, so we draw proof that Rav is of the opinion that something which is muchal levadai is not muchal l'sofik. Something that's prepared for a definite usage cannot be used for questionable uses. So the argument is, do I compare it to tzoa, koi tzoa? Don't I compare it to tzoa? Even though that also is a difficult comparison. Because tzoa is question whether it will be. Here, if I slaughter the animal, I definitely have an obligation to cover it. Even though it's a suffix, but I have an obligation, so why wouldn't that be part of his mindset? Right? That's the difficulty we also have.
It's the simplest case. If you've slaughtered the koi and you don't have anything prepared,
You don't cover its blood?
you can't cover its blood. Can you use the koi or you can't?
Sure, it's unrelated, definitely. You slaughter a deer, and you don't have offer, you don't have earth to cover its blood. You permit to eat the deer. Not unrelated, one to the other. Okay.
So you wouldn't be forbidden to slaughter it because you couldn't cover it?
No, we don't allow you to slaughter because you mivatel the mitzvah saseh of shchita, of kisui. That's why you shouldn't slaughter it. Rami Breda Rav Yeva Omar Koi Hainu taimo l'mechasinon. He says no, it's a reason. Not because we're equating it. It's a muktzah issue. Yeah. Ram bereder Rabbi Yevoma koi hainu taimo l'mechasin zeru shematoris chelbo. Yeah. Now the halacha is a behemoth Torah it's chelav yichayv koris. What about a non-domesticated animal? You want to eat the chelav of a deer. It's permitted. It's only if it's domesticated. If it's undomesticated, you don't have to. It's okay. It's chelav is permitted.
Is there a reason for that, or is it just
Zer sakosov. Okay. Koi hainu. Why? So if you're going to cover its blood, what are people going to say? They say it's a chayo. If you're going to cover the blood of a koi, you say why? Evidently, it's undomesticated. So people are going to end up being its chelav. But I'm only covering it because it's a suffix. So I'm misleading people. I'm creating a stumbling block here. Therefore, we say you don't cover its blood. Wait, said Mari, so why are we talking about Yom Tov? During the weekday, you shouldn't cover its blood either. For the same reason, because there's going to be a misperception of reality.
Sure.
Right? See, that's the first question.
Chelav is the fact near the side.
No, that's part of it. There are other parts. It's in the flank of the animal. Different location. Yeah, so we're during the weekday. Also, you shouldn't cover its blood. You shouldn't cover the blood of a koi, because by covering its blood, people think it's a chayo, and they'll come to eat its chaylev. Why only in Yom Tov? During the week, you shouldn't cover it. On that, the Gemara says, "B'chol amin nak chatziru tzorich." During the week, people are saying that the reason why he's cleaning up, not because there's a chid kisei adam. He's cleaning up his act. It should be more orderly. And the only way you could get it out, he made sure to leave sawdust on the bottom and sawdust on top. Is it the utmost necessity? The answer is no.
But, so according to this, we're talking about b'di'is, like he has what? So we're talking about like he put away special. This should be also.
No. Forget about it. Even if put specially for the koi, we would not permit it on Yom Tov, according to Rambam. Why? Because if a person's covered, people will say it's a chaya, they need its chaylev.
So the din is you never have.
And it's a safed derais l'chumra on the chaylev. Therefore, we don't want you to cover the blood of a koi, even if you prepare. Even if you prepare.
So this.
What about during the week? Since during the week, because during the week, the person normally cleans up after his mess. During the week, we'll see it as a cleanup. Shabbos and Avodah as a cleanup.
So this concern overrides the suffix that koi could be actually obligated because it could be actually undomesticated animal. The rabbis were so concerned that a person will misinterpret this action.
Again.
So koi is truly a suffix. We don't know if it's a...
Right. So the difference is whether chaylev. Yeah. So right now, but right now, what we're saying now, Rabbi Yevo. Rabbi Beitzah Rabbi Yevo says, really you have an obligation. Really it's not muktzah. It's not muktzah.
Right, muktzah you don't have.
It's not muktzah, but the other reason is because I have a concern. People will think that it's a chayo and they're going to end up eating its chaylev.
So he's basically saying you never have to cover because of this concern.
Wait, so must say yochi b'chol. B'chol you cover. He's factually covering b'chol. That's the first question. Yochi b'chol nami. On that the more differentiates. B'chol amri nakratzeru tzorah. The people say he's coming to clean up. He's cleaning up the brush in the backyard, right?
So during the week we cover it because suffix the rice of the food.
So you're obligated to do it even on Shabbat, on Yom Tov. You're obligated
Right,
to do
so
it.
I'm saying so on Yom Tov that concern of misinterpretation overrides the chiyuv.
We're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow it. Yeah, of course. It's like not blowing shofar and stuck in the Yom Tov, right? Somewhere says, "B'chol nami nak chatzeru tzorich." During the week, if you would slaughter in a dumping grounds, in a dump, with the principle of what he's cleaning up, doesn't apply. So what are you going to say over there?